invite Secretary General Shri Rajabanu and all the executive and central council members of the ADCOC and the regulators both from the CDSCO and the state drug regulatory officers. Pleasure to welcome you all for the today's webinar, that is 38th webinar of ADCOC Training Academy series on the topic of revision of the Schedule M. I feel this topic has a greater relevance in the current times where there is an increased scrutiny and increased suspicion about the Indian pharmaceutical supply to the global population. And the government of India is taking remedial measures at the right time, on one hand, in the form of risk-based inspections, and on the other form, to upgrade the levels of the Indian standards on the global standards. We are so pleased to have the eminent speaker, Dr. Ishwara Reddy, with us to delve onto the revision of the Schedule M. And I welcome everyone to this today's webinar. And now I would like to invite our Honorary Director General, Shri Uday Bhaskarji, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Lakshmi, and the Acting President R.P. Chowdhury, and today's distinguished speaker and my good friend, Dr. Ishwara Reddy, Joint Drugs Controller of India, and who is also spearheading the training programs on Schedule M. Not only that, he's organizing a number of programs to update the knowledge of the regulator community. Just I'm not going to take more than 5 minutes, Lakshmi. So I am also interested to listen to Ishwara Reddy after so many years, and the topic is also very relevant to everyone who is. They need not be a regulator, even if you are a consumer. Also, this topic is very much relevant. You are all aware of that Schedule M was introduced just 1 year before I joined in service as a drug inspector. That was in 1988. The Schedule M was introduced. During that time, you know, most of the big manufacturing units today, they're multinationals. We know that how they used to manufacture active pharmaceutical ingredients. And you will also surprised to, if anybody have an experience of witnessing the manufacturing facilities, API facilities, particularly before 2000, and now it's completely different. Subsequently, there was amendments made in 2001 and 2005 to align with the international standards. Particularly, India is becoming a big player in the global scenario, and we are exporting drugs to more than 200 countries, and we have highest number of US FDA approved sites. So there is a demand, and from the entire world that, you know, India need to join in peaks. India should be a member of ICH, and we need to upgrade our systems so that we, even in 2001 also, sometimes, you know, I don't understand the stand of the government. They will give one time to the new manufacturer. In 2001, they said that, you know, for old manufacturers, they can continue for some time with the pre-amended GMP. And for new people coming to the industry, they have to implement from 2001. So both the people are going to manufacture the drugs for the consumer, who is going to consume. Subsequently, as you are all aware of that, a draft of revised Schedule M published by Ministry of Health on 5th October 2018, by GSR 999. So we are moving, and regulatory obligations are increasing, and demands from the international regulators are going more and more. Even the more than regulatory audits, vendor audits are also going up. And sometimes the vendor audits are much more stringent than the regulatory audits. Again, somehow the reasons better known to the government. We are all regulators, and Ishwara Reddy, people like them are in the policy side, and leading he was a joint drugs control general of India and joint drugs control of India. So the only thing regulators can do is that if the government introduce the policy, and they will implement. So the reasons better known to the government. The draft was published in 2018 and the comments were sent by so many people. So till 2023, now particularly after the DEG, EG issues, the government is again coming back and they wanted to make it very active. But till date, I'm little bit confused from when it is going to be implemented. And again, I read somewhere the statement of Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandaviya for large scale within 6 months, and for the rest of the people, 1 year. So we don't need, 2018 is the draft. We are in 2023. It is not yet officially published. And again, we are giving a message to the industry that, so the large scale, they will give 6 months, and the small scale, they will give 1 year. So we don't know when they will introduce. So now the small scale industry have started asking, this Schedule M amendment is going to cost them heavily. So this kind of an argument, so whether the policymakers are giving a scope for the small scale industry or somebody to talk on that, as far as I am concerned, as a consumer, now I'm no more a regulator, even though I'm heading as an honorary Director General of EDCOC, and I'm also working very closely with our friends. There should not be any two categories of manufacturers. The manufacturers who are in the small scale also exporting, the manufacturers in the small scale also having the certifications of some stringent regulatory authorities. So everybody should understand the objective. The objective of the introducing the Schedule M or updating Schedule M and amending Schedule M to provide a quality drug, efficacious drug to meet the requirements of the consumer as and when till the product ends its shelf life. So GMP is part of the quality, but there is an argument from industry that, we'll manufacture drugs of a very high quality and efficient. A GMP is only documentation. What's the purpose of GMP? So they are not understanding. Still, even we are calling ourselves as a pharmacy of the world. Somehow who has introduced this word, nowadays everybody is talking about pharmacy of the world, including the international regulators also. But this particular, what I feel, we are moving very slow, and I think at least what I observed from the actions of the present CDSCO and the active training programs. When Ishwar Reddy ji called me, sir, Pharmaxil and EDCOC can organize a program. We said we have 5 months program. No, sir, within 1 month we have to complete the entire 10 programs. So it's a very positive move. At least, whether when it is going to be implemented is a different issue. But under the leadership of the training in charge, Ishwar Reddy, is moving and making the people to understand what's happening and what is going to be there in that. But before I conclude, so that we need to understand one thing. Whenever there is an issue may not be of your interest. The issue you may not like, but you have to introspect and you have to go to the root cause analysis. But unfortunately, like delay in the process of Schedule M amendment, our actions also being delayed. This is not good for the image of the country as well as the regulatory community. Our state regulators also, they are more worried about licensing. So they think that if the industry and regulators, I observed a common issue. Both of them, they will not speak in the meetings. but they will privately they will worry. But when they attend Chintan Shivir by all the state drug controllers, so nobody is having guts to say anything, that we should allow them to speak out. So this Schedule M, what in my opinion, this is purely of not the opinion of DG Pharmacy, it's purely the opinion of the Honorary Director General of All India Drugs Control Officers Confederation. There should not be any two categories. The objective of Schedule M to make efficacious drugs, quality drugs, meeting the global standards. That is the objective. In meeting that objective, there will not be any concessions. So when we have given 5 years more or less time for the amendment to this level, again sending a message to the people, industry, it is not good at the interest of the country, and it's not good at the interest of the consumer. And at the same time, the industry and regulators also should realize one thing: we are not friends to the industry. We are here to regulate the industry, and we are here to execute the legislations. So this friend, philosopher, and facilitator, this concept is not good. They never be a friend to you. As long as they are fine, they are friend to you. Once something is happened to them, they are not friends to you. So why should you be friendly with them? Friends are different from the industry. We are regulators. We have to regulate. So everybody, whenever particularly the Gambia issue, if you take that has made particularly my experience interacting with so many people, and our regulators also will accept that. So we need not wait till the accident happens. So in the initial days of the incident, we said that no, our samples are passing and this is not correct, and there is an interested parties are talking against this. Immediately there is an Uzbekistan. So that kind of statements from the regulators and that kind of statements from the ministers, so certainly will give an advantage to the manufacturers who may not be good. So the good people always good, but we should not allow this kind of a message to go. With this, I once again, I am very much thankful to Dr. Ishwar Reddy for accepting our invitation, and certainly his presentation is going to add value, and it should not be only a regulation. Every regulator. Yesterday night I was watching the BBC program on Gambia. If you see if we are in their place, whatever the reason may be, you may say that my product is not containing DEG or EG. That is not the argument. The reality is that I lost my kit. It is not replaceable. So every regulator in every industry should have, they are not only manufacturers doing business, we are not only regulators working for a salary, we should be a human being first. That is the reason every enactment is made, keeping in view of the patient safety at the center place. With this, I stop here, and I think this is my unfiltered. Always I speak unfiltered. I'm not happy with the pace it's moving. Thank you so much, Ishwar Reddy, and thank you all the co-panelists.
Thank you, sir. And the message and your voice is very loud and clear. And I believe all the regulators are also in the same thought process. And now we would be listening to our guest speaker, Dr. Ishwar Reddy, who is a well-known recognized person, not only in the regulatory fraternity, but also in the entire Indian pharma fraternity, for his tremendous contribution that he has made during his service of 25 years in the CDSCO, wherein he started his career as a drugs inspector, and he has seen every position in the CDSCO till Drugs Controller General of India. And he has worked relentlessly for the betterment of the Indian pharma industry, especially in the policy framework. And we also be aware that sir has been recognized for the work he has contributed, and he was accorded with the Best Drugs Inspector Award and also the Best Drugs Control Officers Award and Distinguished Alumni Award from the Manipal Academy of Higher Education also. And indeed, he is the youngest Drugs Controller General of India who has worked in all the places. And we are so fortunate to have you, sir, as you have taken a path of educating all the industry and all the regulators in the current role on the proposed revised Schedule M. And we feel even all the inspectors and the regulators are also need to be properly educated on the revised provisions as the industry is contemplating to implement with the series of workshops that you are conducting. And on parallel, it is equally important for our inspectors and the officers also to be well informed, well aware and well practiced with the latest developments. So with that brief intro, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Ishwar Reddy sir for his presentation, please.
Thank you, Prasanna, for your nice words. First of all, let me thank Shri Uday Bhaskar, sir, Honorable Secretary General, All India Drug Control Officers Confederation, my dear friend Rajesh Chaudhary, Rajabhanu sir, and Jayan Chaudhary, and all the participants who joined through online. For everyone, very, very good morning to all of you. I know today is Sunday. It is difficult to be part of such type of programs. You get only one day holiday, and Prasanna make everybody visit Sunday also. So thank you very much, All India Drug Control Officers Confederation, for inviting me to this session. First of all, let me, in fact, thank ADCOC, their contribution since 1995. I think, Uday Bhaskar sir, December 95 it started? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is since December 1995, almost near to 3 decades. So there's a lot of contribution for the strengthening of the Indian regulators' capacities and capabilities from time to time. And also, I'm happy to see the way ADCOC has introduced their Drug Regulators Training Academy. Okay, I think this training academy you have started somewhere in the, I think almost 3 years you have completed. I think same month, October, I think 2000, I think year 2000, October 2000, I think you have started this program. I think I'm really happy, and also really my congratulations to ADCOC, the way you have conducted the training programs, especially during COVID times. All the relevant subjects which are actually required during the COVID times. So the ADCOC has identified such type of topics, and they educated all the drug regulators in India during such emergency times. As Prasanna said, I think they have completed already 37 such programs. 37, Prasanna? I think you said it is 38. Okay. Yes. So, yeah. And I don't know how many of you are aware that all these 37 sessions, what they have conducted on various topics. It may be on the COVID-19 issues, on quality issues, cosmetics, narcotics. I think even the matters relating to e-pharmacy, NDPS, you name any subject relating to the drug regulators, I think this academy is already covered by and large. And I am happy to see all these presentations are available on the ADCOC website. So I request to all the participants, whenever you like to have any additional information or you'd like to have any clarification, please go through all these presentations which are available on the ADCOC portal. Thanks to the ADCOC entire your executive committee and all the your executive body members are making available such a valuable information in the public domain, such that everybody will get benefited. So with this, I also thankful to the Uday Bhaskar in his opening remarks. He's almost covered the main intent of the WHO GMP and the role of the regulators, and also he said so nicely, we should be a regulator. No alternative term for the regulator. I think he made very loud and clear. Though people use so many terminologies. We should be as a facilitator, we should be act as a supporter, hand holding, so many terms they will use. He said very clearly that I think other terms won't suit us. We are basically appointed as a regulator. So our job is a regulator. I think thanks, sir. And also nice to see Firm Excel is acting as a regulator in some cases. wherever regulators may be taking some time to take a decision. But I have seen wherever it is required, whether it is a Zambia issue or other issues. So Firm Excel immediately jump in and immediately they have taken all necessary steps, the actions also with respect to cancellation of their import-export number, that is EXIM, I think some whatever the export-import permission number. So thank you, sir, for all your steps you are taking. And before I start my presentation, I would like to say thanks to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also for initiating this type of steps for awareness of this new revised schedule. This will lead to the dissemination of the information to all the stakeholders. And it also helps in the preparedness of not only the regulators, not only the industry, actually regulators also should be prepared for the revised new Schedule M requirements. And also thankful to our Drugs Control General of India for his active support in organizing this type of programs also with the industry and even as for the drug regulators. As Uday Bhaskar have said rightly, the need for the revised schedule, why that our standards should be updated from time to time. As you know, the concept of quality is changing from time to time. What you have a quality definition of 30 years, what today we have, it is a completely different. The consumer demands, consumer requirements are different. And there's more awareness on the safety and efficacy of the product also. We had to change our standards, or otherwise, if you see the existing our Schedule M standard is almost 3 decades old standard. So with this standard, we may not compete with the international market. And Uday was also said rightly, as and when we amend the Schedule M, there will be some financial burden on the industry. But just before I will go on what are the major changes in the Schedule M and the importance. If you see the basic components of the GMP is the mainly 3 components. One is the facility, another is the systems, third is the documentation. Only facilities related requirements involve the financial components. Whereas if you want to really have a systems in place, that is generally called as a quality culture. So that is quality culture from the top to bottom. It does not require any financial burden on the company. Even for the documentation, there is no much financial burden on the documentation. Actually, facilities will carry some percentage. In my personal opinion, it is only 20% weightage. 70% weightage is your culture in your organization and also what documentation you have, which may not require much financial burden, but it is our responsibility as a drug regulator who we can ensure the proper compliance for Schedule M. And one thing, I agree with what Uday Bhaskar said rightly. What he said clearly is that the regulations, whatever prescribed, are uniform for everyone, whether it is a small scale company or whether it is a middle scale or it is a major company or whether it is a multinational. We don't have a segregation of or any differentiation in the standards with respect to the size of the company. Also, with respect to irrespective of size of the company, regulations are remains. That means at any given time, standard should be uniform. And also, when the drugs are manufactured in India, we should not have two different standards. Some companies which are manufacturing with old standard, some companies which are manufacturing with the new standard. So I think legally also it may not be appropriate to have a dual standard in the system. And another very important point, whatever today industry is there, this credit goes to for the government policies, regulators also. I think though industry claims it is there, efforts to be there, but in fact, the policies of the government. For example, if you see today, whatever bulk drug industry grown in Andhra Pradesh and also the other areas, mainly because of the 1969 IPR amendments. That is a government policy. Because of the one policy, there is a change, there is growth of the industry. Similarly, if you see the various financial relaxations given to the certain states, so the industry is moved to that state. Industry has grown in that state. So the growth of the industry is not only dependent on policy, even equally regulated. In fact, we are all also responsible for the growth of the industry. And though we have many challenges with respect to the human resources, with respect to the infrastructure, but within the limited facilities, we are able to do best to the system to ensure the quality. If you see the size of, we have almost 10,000 manufacturers, almost 10 lakh retail wholesalers in India. But we have hardly 3,000 even today, maximum drug regulators of both the CDSU and states together. But if you see the other countries like USA, they have hardly 3,500 manufacturers, hardly 75,000 retail outlets, but they have 13,000 regulators. So the proportion, that means the infrastructure, the human and other infrastructure, what other countries they have for the limited industry compared to us, it is actually negligible. But still, we are able to cope up with the demand of the industry as also demand of the consumers to ensure the quality of the product. And the proposed Schedule M not only enhances the assure the quality of the product further, the proposed Schedule M also addresses certain inbuilt problems in the Schedule M since many years. The industry since last 3 decades, for example, they are making requests to us to re-examine, like for example, retest date of API. The current Schedule M not allows the retested. We have only expiry date. So industry last 3 decades, they're asking for to amend, to have a provision for retest date. In this proposed Schedule M, this retest date concept has been included. Similarly, there is another one major issue in the existing is that the shelf-life of the formulation should not be more than the shelf-life of the leftover shelf-life of the API. Generally, which is not there in the many countries. So industry is also making this since many years request, but this is also addressed in the proposed thing. And another major important thing is parametric release. Means where you are not necessary to test all the tests, any for the specific product like packing materials or any particular test, provided if the particular methods have been validated, the vendor has been validated, and you have a very good annual review date of certain years where it is ensuring the quality. Thereby, you can skip some of the tests. That is what generally called as a parametric release. And this regulations also provides the provision for the rapid microbiological testing, or otherwise nowadays the conventional microbiological testing, whether it is a sterility or the environmental plate monitoring. So you have to incubate at a reasonable good time, which is taking a long time. At least, for example, minimum 14 days for the incubation. But these present regulations also allows for the rapid microbiological testing by batches can be released at cost. Even the schedule also allows the reprocessing, reworking. So what I'm trying to say that this is not actually a burden, what generally some people think that it is a burden on the industry, but it is not actually a burden. It is a very good standard on par with the international. As Uday Bhaskar said, rightly, standard should be an international standard. Thereby, in future, India will become a member of the PICS country. If you have not improved the standard, and if you think that what is the objective of improving the standard and let it be remain same, so we never be visible globally. If you want to be a part of the IH, if you want to be a member of the our not only the standards, our even the capacities, capabilities of regulators also to be on par with the international standards. So as I said, I always say that GMP is continuous journey. So this that's why it is not a destination. We can say today we have complied with the two, which is always a continuous journey. We have to ensure the quality at any given time. So with this thing, just I will start my presentation. So I'm going to be mainly give some background about the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, some objective why this workshop at ADCOC is conducting, and what is the significance of GMP, and why do need revision of Schedule M, and what is the comparison between the existing and revised. And some of the officers, I also seen they raised some queries in the WhatsApp group that when government has not published the final notification, and why they are conducting such type of training programs workshop. So public or even regulators don't know what is the final version. The answer to this question is, whatever draft has been published, it is almost saying tomorrow what the final notification is going to be in the public domain. It is almost, there is no any, only two changes are there. I will show, whenever that comes, the two major changes in the proposed schedule, I will explain during the slide when I am talking. But otherwise, it is same. So that is the reason government intent is that let everybody is aware, let everybody is prepared for the understanding of the what are the new schedule requirements. Friends, as all of you know, drugs plays very important role in the public health care. So I don't need to explain more about that. As a drug regulatory authorities, our regulations will ensure the safety, efficacy, and the quality of the product. What we regulate under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act is we regulate import, manufacture, sale, and distribution of drugs, cosmetics, and medical devices. Thanks to the pharma industry, they are not only taking care about our Indian public health, they are also taking care about the global health. I think Prasanna may be knowing there won't be any single country in the globe where our products are not available. In many countries, our products are available. Even some small countries, even islands. So our Indian medicines are available in the shelves of the pharmacy. So that's why all countries nowadays looking at India. Even for the two reasons. One is because of our quality. Second is because of our affordability of our medicines. Because of these two reasons, every country is looking at India. But simultaneously, there are some other countries, they are also competing with us with respect to the quality and affordability. So I think we should be also very cautious, to retain our feather in our cap as a pharmacy of the world. Or otherwise, we don't know what happens to that. And as all of you know, compliance to Schedule M is a mandatory one. It is not any optional, or it is not a is a mandatory. So the main, what we are going to have objective of this workshop, the ADCOC is conducting, is that as a drug regulators, we should have insight about the GMP. Why the GMP is required, what is the importance of the GMP, and to make aware about what are the new provisions in the revised schedule. Yeah, and mainly to disseminate these new provisions to all our members of this association. Thereby, everybody will be aware about this, and we should also ready for the inspections with the new provisions. And end of the day, if everybody will understand properly, it leads to the uniformity in interpretation and implementation. So this is the main objective of this workshop. Before I go to the main presentation, first we should also know history of the GMP. If you see in India, first time in 1961, the minimum requirements, it was hardly one page requirement was specified for the only equipments and premises. And later, 1986, the first amendment to the Schedule M was made in 1986 based upon 1975 WHO guidelines. So in general, we don't, invent the wheel. We don't design any new things. We just try to adopt the whatever the global standards available for us at large. So even for our GMP standard, we try to adopt the standard of the WHO 1975. But if you see the time taken for the first amendment from 1961 to 86, so it is almost 25 years. After 25 years, we have made a first amendment. And when the second amendment we made in the 2001, and that is also based upon 1962. So this is also almost 15 years. Now again, now we are thinking about the third amendment. So this is also almost more than 2 decades. So see, the time between the each amendments, if you ask me, we are taking it reasonably good. That is actually generally not acceptable standard. That is the reason if you see international drug regulators, they don't just simply call as a GMP. They call as a CGMP. That means it is always a current. C stands for current GMP. That means that GMP should be always dynamic in nature. Thereby, the industry will adopt the new technologies, new therapies, or new anything developing that they adopt and it will implement for the betterment of the quality. But our existing current schedule is based upon 92 WHO GMP guideline. So that means almost 3 decades. Even after 3 decades, we are having the very running with the same. There need now to upgrade our GMP standards. This is very important slide, and we as a drug regulators, this is actually major concern challenges. What day to day we have, whatever I have specified here, you see 6 points. These are mandate provisions at present in the system, but still it is not effectively implemented. Now, the major concern at present in the pharmaceutical industry is that, especially the so-called MSME, they have multi-dosage forms. They have a very small facility. They have tablet dosage form, capsules, injectables, ointments. You name a dosage form, they have everything. Though they may be manufacturing products not regularly. They may be once in a blue moon, they manufacture one product, hardly, and their basket size is huge basket size. They may be having more than 3,000 to 5,000 product permissions. So that's why on their shoulder, they have a lot of weight on their shoulder. But only thing is that they don't have the data for each and every product. So major challenge for the industry is having the multiple dosage forms and the huge number of the products. But if you see any multinational company, the number of products, they have hardly 2 digits only. It will never go to the 3 digits. But whatever they have the product, they have a complete details about that product. From the product development stage to the even up to pharmacovigilance, that is market surveillance. And third important point is the concept of formulation development is not existing properly, especially with the certain categories of interest. Without having knowledge about the formulation development, that means whether it is excipient compatibility studies, actually which excipient better suits, how much quantity of excipients should be there, and once you made that product, whether that product is stable during the entire shelf life. The major concern at present industry is they will test the product at the time of release from the site. That time it may pass. But when the product goes into the market where they have given 3 years or 5 years of shelf life, but really whether this product will be stable during the shelf life, they don't have the data. They may not be able to assure. That is the reason, one of the major issue in India is the quality of the product during the, in the market. And another important, though bioavailability, bioequivalent studies are mandatory, but still many products permissions have been granted without this. I understand it is a great challenge for the regulators to insist all these documents at the time of grant of additional product permissions. So whatever these 3 important things, that is excipient compatibility studies, stability studies, bioavailability, bioequivalence, these 3 are important requirements and mandatory requirements, but still certain states or certain packets of the regulatory system, these are not effectively implemented on various reasons. It is not, I'm not saying that it is not a capacity of the regulators. I can say that it is a lot of that local political system or local geographical need, or otherwise the way they have habituated for getting the product permissions. So overnight when we ask this data, it may be a little more uncomfortable for them. So we actually, this is the our responsibility to ensure that before grant of product permission, these 3 data is available. But my suggestion to all the regulators, all our colleagues here is that before grant of any additional product permission, please ensure that he will get first test license. Let them get a first test license. Then let them generate the data of the formulation development, that is through the excipient compatibility studies, stability studies, bioavailability, bioequivalence, whatever the data is required, whether it is a process validation, analytical method validation, without test, as all of you know, test license is a mandatory under the provisions. Even tomorrow, somebody will ask you under the RTI, whether have you granted this product permission without test license, then it is a great trouble for us. If you say yes, without test license, we have granted permission, then we have a tough time. So because it is a mandatory, as per the law, the manufacturer has to take a test license first to generate the data before he gets the product permission. And next, quality culture. At all the levels, from the top to bottom of the industry, it is, something lacking. We need to really focus on the quality culture and the continuous training at all the levels in the manufacturing site. And quality is a continual improvement. I think you may be having good idea, and the data integrity is one of the major issue with the current system. I think some of you may be having some doubt that why GMP is required only for pharmaceutical industry. Why it is GMP is not required for the some electronic industry or otherwise real estate industry or the cement industry. There are so many industries we have, but why GMP component is mandatory for the pharmaceuticals? And also you may be having doubt that why drug prices only regulated? Why not other product prices are not regulated by the government? Like for example, mobile phones, or any electronic goods, or many products day to day we are using. These prices are not regulated. But whereas pharmaceuticals, we have a GMP provision mandatory and we have the prices are regulated. The main reasons are two why it is. First reason is whatever the individual product we are, individual means each tablet, capsule or thing which is going into the market, what released, actually these are not tested. What is tested, it is not going into the market. It means if the particular batch size of the tablets is say 1 lakh tablets in a particular batch that manufacturer is produced, out of 1 lakh, he draw the 100 tablets and he will test. If 100 tablet passes, we assume that remaining all tablets also will pass. So whatever untested tablets we are releasing into the market. This basic concept principle may be right, provided if that company is really following the complete GMP requirements. But assume if the GMP is not followed, this is very dangerous. The quality may not be right. There won't be any uniformity. There won't be any consistency in the quality, especially with respect to the potent drugs. There are some drugs, their strength is in even micrograms. Sometimes it is just in milligrams of 1 milligram or 0.5 or 0.25 milligram. If the GMP means the process has been not done, equipments have been not qualified, and even the analytical methods have been not validated, and without having all these details, if he is releasing a batch based upon some sampling methodology, that means what actually product is going into the market, it is not tested. You are not tested. There is no assurance in the quality. Second most important, why GMP is required, consumer is not able to assess the quality at the time of purchase. This is the one lacuna in medicines, is that consumer, you don't have even choice which manufacturer product you want to purchase. And as all of you know, there is no provision for substitution of the drug. Whatever doctor prescribes, that medicine has to be given by the pharmacist to the patients, the same medicine. So consumer is not able to assess any quality. At least when consumer is purchasing any television or any other electronic product, he can able to assess some quality, whether it is a color of the screen or the size of the screen or the sound of that particular system. You can assess some quality. But in case of medicines, consumer is zero knowledge about the quality of the product. He has to just trust the manufacturer, and he has a confidence on the regulators such that the product quality will be good. So that's why that is the one reason why GMP and the price control is that there is a one term called information asymmetry. Information asymmetry means in case of buyer and seller, there is no uniform information available to the both. For example, seller may be having more information, buyer don't have any information. That is called the information asymmetry. For example, in case of medicines, the buyer, like consumer, he don't have any information. That means about the quality of the product, actually what will be the approximate, cost of production. The consumer have nil knowledge about that. Whereas, so that's why there is asymmetry in the information. So wherever there is asymmetry in the information, the government will say that. Otherwise, the system will take it granted the consumers. To avoid that, that is the reason why the price control is made mandatory for the medicines is because of information aspect. Consumer don't have information. So to protect the consumer, their rights and their information purpose, the price control concept has come. And another importance of GMP is that it will lead to build the trust and confidence on the regulators. And as I said rightly, in pharmaceuticals, even low and high dose both are harm to the consumer. See, for example, in other cases, if you give best quality of 140, 150% SA, other products other than drugs may be very good. But in case of a drug, instead of 500 milligram tablets, if this is manufacturing 700 milligram tablets, it says that I am giving a more quality, more to you, high dose. It is not accepted. It is also not safe. In case of pharmaceuticals, low and high both are the risk to the patient. And it will also affect the economy of the country. Because of if the GMP is not followed, there will be a more product recalls, and also it will disturb the image of the organization. That lead to not only affect the economy of the consumer and economy of the manufacturer and the country also. That's why the quality cannot be assessed merely by testing the product. It should be built into the product. And in the entire product life cycle, at each and every stage, starting from the raw material selection, raw material receipt, testing, and till the product is released, and also monitor the quality in the market. So the product quality should be built in the product. So that is the reason I think India, we only the country, we more focus to ensure on quality from the market survey samples. But if you see the developed countries like US, they don't draw any samples from the market routinely. See, we draw almost 1 lakh samples per annum by state and central together. Why we are drawing? Because of whether the quality you are assuring from the market or quality should be assured from the manufacturing sites. Globally, the quality is assured from the manufacturing sites. If it is assured the quality at manufacturing site, there is no need to draw the sample from the market. Provided if we have a proper good distribution, good GDP, the good distribution practices, which is a part of the generally the GMP and other thing. If you have a complete supply chain, if you assure, market surveillance is not actually the right way to ensure the quality. See, by drawing the sample from the market, if the sample is failing, can we really affect the manufacturing any process and procedures? Can any or not of one standard quality that lead to the change in the manufacturing process, like for example, say change in the excipient for example, product is not stable, or whether he has changed the for example, shelf life of the product, or whether he has changed any raw material source, nothing. We just draw the sample from the market. If they fail, we take legal action directly. So he will continue to manufacture the same technology, same product, same facilities. So the concept of quality assuring through the market surveillance is generally not a well-established procedure. That's why well-established regulatory authorities like USA or even Europe or Japan, hardly they will also draw the sample in certain conditions, like whenever the product is failure, of any complaint has come or some issues, then only they will enter into the field and they will draw the sample. So the NSQs also will harm the health. It will affect the reputation of the company and the business. These are the reasons why the GMP has so much of importance in the pharmaceutical industry. And next question, everybody may be thinking, why GMP? So what will achieve from the GMP? So the main objective of the GMP is it will avoid the mix-ups. If you follow proper GMP, there won't be any mix-up of the labels or mix-up of the different strength or mix-up of the two different products while you are manufacturing and releasing. It will also help to avoid contamination. See, one of the major concerns in the pharmaceutical industry is the contamination, which is coming from outside environmental source, whether in the form of a black particle through air or whether in the form of a microorganism through water, what you are using for the production. It will avoid the cross contamination within the manufacturing facility. If there is no proper segregation in the manufacturing facilities, one product may get contaminated with the other product. GMP also, it produces the consistency in the quality. This is the most important thing. As I said earlier, especially the potent drugs or the low dose drugs, the quality consistency is the most important. And another very important, if you follow proper GMP, it will assure the quality till end of the shelf life of the product, not at the time of only release of the product, till end of the shelf life. It will also avoid the errors. Any human errors generally happens in the manufacturing sector, and it will ensure the quality of the drugs and the patient safety. Finally, of course, if you have full GMP in compliance, it will build trust and confidence. The next question everybody's in the mind is that why do you need revision of schedule? Okay, already we are industry says we are manufacturing last 3-4 decades, and quality is good. There is no problem. So you draw my sample and test from your government laboratory. My sample will passes. So quality is not only assuring through chemical testing. Quality should be also assured through the clinically also. What I am trying to say that if somebody manufacturing paracetamol 500 milligram, if you test in the laboratory, it may pass all the tests. But the same 500 milligram tablets, if you take an orally tablet through our gastrointestinal tract, how much amount of drug is really absorbed into systemic circulation? Means out of 500 milligram milligram, how much percentage of drug really entered into systemic circulation? That really gives the efficacy of the product. Generally, our surveillance is we draw the sample, send it to the laboratory. Okay, it is passing 500 milligram tablet is there. But really, how much it is really have the efficacy? So that is the most important thing. So that's why GMP first the reason is GMP is a dynamic. Globally, everybody will say that it is a current GMP. GMP is never be a static, but our standards are last 2-3 decades, they're static. And there is a substantial improvement in the concept of quality. What we have earlier quality, even I also said in some case earlier platforms, just because of one impurity problem, very big brand of multinational company, they have to withdraw. And not only withdraw, they have, I think, even completely removed the product from the market, just because of one impurity problem. Otherwise, it is a very big brand, well accepted, their quality is assured since many years. But overnight, because of one quality issue, they have to remove the brand. So that means you see how much there is a improvement in the concept of quality. So quality is not only just a assay or another test. Even nowadays, impurities plays very, very important role. And because of these impurities only nowadays, what we have the problem with the international agencies on your cough syrup and everything. This is all because of the presence of the impurities. So that is the reason. If in order to ensure the quality of the product, we have to upgrade or update our GMP from time to time. And another very important reason for the revision of we have to converse our standard to the global standard. If you want to really give proper competition in the global market, if you want to really survive in the global market, our standards should be harmonized with the global standard. If you harmonize this, even this will lead, it will reduce the number of inspections by the international regulatory agencies. Because nowadays, if you see small countries, even African small countries, for registration of our products in their country, they will visit India for the inspection. Without inspection, they are not registering our products. Reason is because of our standards are not on par with their standards. So if we improve our standards on par with the global standards, the number of inspections will come down. They will mainly rely on our inspection reports. So that is the reason, as a drug regulators, it is our responsibility also. We had to improve our quality of inspection, reporting, and quality of evidences what you collect during the inspection to support each and every your observation you are making in the inspection report. And another important reason for revising the schedule is technological advancement. If you see the day now, the current various technologies available for the various purposes, whether it is a granulation or a compression or a packaging, use technological advancements and even analytical methods, even the way testing, the way new equipments, instruments, latest equipments are available, which are able to detect at nano level. So this is also led to the revision, and also there is a new formulation, new therapies are coming up, whether it is a gene therapy or stem cell or new products entering into the market. Then now the time has to come to revise our schedule. And as I said, there is improvement in the quality awareness, there is improvement in the quality culture, and if you want to really retain the pharmacy of the world without taking this our feather to other country, we had to have update our standard on par with the global standard. So as all of you know, the basic principles of the GMP, the 5 P's are very, very important. That is people, product, process, procedures, and optimizations. I will explain more details. The various components of the GMP at present existing GMP. In fact, if you see all these requirements was stated, it will covers by and large the GMP requirements. But one important point which is missing is the principles not defined in our current scheduling. Principles means, for example, when we say that there should be a ventilation system, but the principle why ventilation system is required, how it will be assured quality of the product, principles have been not defined. We have specified in the existing scheduling directly the requirements. This is one of the major difference, I am going to explain in the further slides. The principles of each and every component have been well defined in the revised scheduling. Before I get to principle current and propose, I think there are some critical component of GMP. As a drug regulator, we should focus at the time of the inspection. One of the most important component is the ventilation system. I think all of you will be there. But unfortunately, industry will interpret differently the concept of ventilation system. Even, I have seen some inspection reports, somebody will provide window air condition. In the inlet of air condition, will have some filter. They say that it is a ventilation system. So I think we need to really understand the basic fundamentals of the ventilation system and how it will operate and what it will provide actually, what we're achieving with this HVAC system. The HVAC system actually provides filtered air of adequate quantity. This is the most important. Otherwise, the air is supplied, but how much quantity of the air is supplied, whether it is sufficient. So main important adequate quantity and adequate cleanliness. That depends upon your type of dosage form, whether it is a oral solid dosage form or whether it is injectable preparation. How much clean that air should be there. Second, it will provide environmental control. That is the most important, so that the product remains under the required condition. That means your ventilation system maintain the proper temperature, relative humidity as per the product required. If you see in the market, many products are they're humidity sensitive. That's why some of the products, if you drop from the market, definitely it will fade. And some products are light sensitive. So whether the facilities have been provided, all that. And another very important, it will provide personal comfort. Otherwise, it is very difficult to work in the closed area for a long time without proper ventilation system. So finally, some of us, we may be having a doubt with this ventilation system, what actually we achieve. What it will comply with the objective of the GMP. while I said the important why GMP is required, I said one of the reason is that to avoid contamination. So to avoid the contamination, the one of the component of GMP address this issue is the ventilation system. And also it will ensure the quality of the product. And second most important component in the pharmaceutical industry is the pharmaceutical water. As you know, the low quality of water, mainly because it will lead to the product degradation or product contamination, and also water quality varies from seasonal and regional variations. Seasonal means in any season, the product quality will be different compared to the other seasons. And regional wise also product quality is different. So it depends upon your region and season, what type of water system you need to have for you is different. And these are the various types of water contaminants in the water. Is the particles. Second is suspended solids, dissolved solids, that's ionized, non-ionized, colloidal metals, dissolved gases, bacteria, and other living organisms, which are going to be affect the quality of the product. Third important to come to the stability study. As all of you know, it is the main influence on the quality of the substance of the product varies with the time under the influence of temperature, humidity, and light. And most important is the stability testing. It will permit the establishment of the storage condition. Most of the companies, they will just copy the label of the other company which product is approved. For example, initially DCJ has approved particular X company first time, and the rest subsequently all manufacturers follow the same copy and paste of that label with respect to the storage condition, with respect to the shelf life, and any other packing material. Though the shelf life based, the company must have first company and neutral permission they got, they must have done entire different technology of the preparation, different excipients they must have used, and their shelf life may be different. But unfortunately, the subsequent company blindly follow the first company's approved based upon the first company approves. And it also meets the regulatory requirement and product registration. So now I will focus on what are I think friends, till now, whatever I have covered is with related to the general things, why GMP is going to be required for the pharmaceuticals industry only, and what is the objective of GMP, what is the objective of revising the schedule there is. Okay, and then now I will give brief idea about what is new in the proposed schedule. How much time I have, Prasanna?
Sir, we are keeping it open for this talk, sir. We are not putting any limitations in view of the importance of this topic.
Okay, Prasanna.
And
so
people are
thank
quite active, and almost we have 120, the constant number in this program. So I think they are very keen to listen more and more.
Okay, great. So let me see. I'll try to maybe take another half an hour to complete this. Okay.
Please.
So the first, as all of you know, the GMP have different parts. So part 1 to up to part 13, then I will describe each and every part. The first part of the GMP, it talks about the GMP for pharmaceutical products, main principles. So the first part talks about only principles. As I said, the main difference between the earlier GMP, the current GMP, and proposed GMP is current GMP has not specified the principles of each and every component. And this is the first time the proposed schedule is going to have principles for each and every component. So what are for example, the pharmaceutical quality systems, what are the major principles they have clearly defined in that? First time they have defined manufacturer must assume the responsibility of the quality. If you see under the drug and drug rules, nowhere defined manufacturer must assume the responsibility of the quality. All conditions of license stated that manufacturer should comply with the GMP, manufacturer should comply, inform the change in the personnel, whatever these things. So we have conditions of license. But that is the reason many of us also will have some concern whenever the NSQ comes, on whom we should make a case against them, whether it is the chairman of the company or the directors of the company or the senior technical people or otherwise real production chemist and quality control, who we have to make the case. So now first time it is clearly mentioned that the manufacturer must assume the responsibility of the quality, and also very clearly stated the senior management. Here senior management means head of the production, head of the quality control, head of the your quality assurance. They comes under the senior management. They have to assume the ultimate responsibility for the quality of the product. So earlier they are shedding their responsibility. So now it is clearly specified the senior management has to take the responsibility. And in the current GMP, nowhere it is stated that the manufacturer has to produce consistency, maintain the consistency in the quality. The first time it is clearly the principle of the GMP is defined also in the GMP Schedule M that there should be a consistency in the quality of the product produced. And most important requirement they have stated is manufacturers should have product knowledge. If you see currently, manufacturer, for example, if the government floated any one tender for one particular product, the manufacturer, most of the manufacturers will run for the tender. He don't have the product permission also. After the tender is floated, the same, he wanted to have the same product permission, he will go to the regulator and he will ask for the product permission without having that product knowledge and process knowledge. So just he will get the license from the state, from the licensing authority and get manufactured and supplied to the government. Then later on, you don't know what is the quality of the product while product is in the market. So that means you should have the knowledge about the, for example, what is the product and what that means what, for example, excipients are required, how much percentage of excipients are required, how much ratio it is required, and whether it should be a wet granulation or dry granulation. That means you should have a complete knowledge. When we say complete knowledge means not in his mind, it should be on paper. It should be everything documented. That is generally what we call as a population development. From the top, during the entire product life cycle, he should have a product and process knowledge. And first time it is very clearly stated, all the materials should be obtained only from approved vendors. This is clearly stated. And another very important, the production and release as per the conditions of license and other regulations. So first time the word other regulations have been incorporated in the Schedule M. Means other regulations with respect to, for example, NDPS, Act related or pollution control related or otherwise any other regulations concerned with that industry, they have to release the product as per the other regulations also. The other important difference under the pharmaceutical quality systems is whenever you have make any changes in your facilities, your product, process, anything, whenever you have planned, so all planned changes has to be the need for the approval. Without approval of planned changes, you should not implement. And you have to notify all these changes to the regulators. But unfortunately, if you see, industry may say that last 30 years, I am manufacturing the product, but just ask the manufacturer, last 30 years, how many changes you have made with respect to the product, process, and equipment and facilities. He must have changed the equipment also. For example, earlier he may be using wet granulation. Now he may be using dry granulation. Even he has not informed to the regulator. He must have changed the excipients. He has not informed to us. He must have changed the compression things. He has not informed. That means whatever changes he has made last 3 decades, as a regulator, we don't have any information. So with these new provisions, all changes has to be notified to the regulators. And first time they incorporate the concept of continual improvement in the quality. You should not just sit, stating that my quality, whatever I am, is comfortable. How you can further improve the quality based upon the feedback you receive from the consumers and other stakeholders. Another basic principle is it is the manufacturer's responsibility to regularly review the quality of the product. I will come more details in the subsequent slides. And wherever there is a defective in the product, they had to identify the root cause analysis. See, for example, one particular company we have seen yearly they are manufacturing 50 to 75 NSQs yearly. And that also they are maintaining consistency in the quality, consistency in the NSQ. I said, in NSQs this year only the 50. Next year also he will assure that there are 50 NSQs for you. So that means such type of, but he never done any root cause analysis. He will just, submit some documents that I have tested my product outside private laboratory. It is passing. I have reviewed the entire BMR. Everything is fine. But the exact root cause analysis of failure of NSQ or any other defective product, there are no any supporting documents. Now it is mandatory for the manufacturer has to do the root cause analysis. And also there should be a periodic management review. So management should not escape their responsibilities. As I said, for earlier, manufacturer is responsible for the quality. That's why management has to take a review of the quality of the product, what they are manufactured annually. And first time, the concept of quality manual, though as per the WHO GMP, it is already mandatory, many companies may be having. Now it is under the Schedule M also, the manufacturer should prepare the quality manual. And second, very important component incorporated in the revised Schedule M is quality risk management. So, as you know, even we also conduct the risk-based inspections. Everything is risk now. Every activity is the risk-based because of lack of human resources, lack of to utilize the infrastructure effectively. We may not be able to do audit of everyone or every product. So we had to have some basic principle under which we can identify certain companies based upon the risk. So the first time the concept of quality risk management is incorporated, where the manufacturer has to assess the risk, he has to control the risk, he has to communicate the risk, and he has to review and rectify the risk. And product quality review, under that, what he should review the manufacturer. The review all starting materials, critical in-process controls, finished product recalls should be reviewed. The review of all batches that had failed, and review of non-conformance related to the investigation such as system and other thing. And first time the word export is incorporated in the, I think this may be point for interest for the Prasanna also. The word export is incorporated in the GMP, that even for the products which are meant for export also, the quality should be reviewed by the agent. Okay, they are not exempted. Even that means when it is a part of the Schedule M, but regulator also, whenever we go for the inspection of the manufacturing facilities, now it is our responsibility to review even products which are meant for export. Till now, generally, the products which are for export purpose, we don't ask the data related for the exported products, with respect to any stability studies or other thing. Now it is the regulators, this is a very important point. This is the now regulators' responsibility even to verify the documents relating to the drugs which are exported. And this product review should be done minimum annually. And the quality review should also include all the technical agreements what they had with the different vendors, technical agreement with the loan licenses, technical agreement with any other agencies what they have. It has to also be reviewed and updated from time to time. The third important component is first time, in fact, though we come across the word GMP, but there is no definition of GMP in our regulations. Nowhere it is defined what is GMP. The first time, this is one of the major difference. The definition of GMP has been described in the Schedule M, revised Schedule M. As I said, the main objective of the Schedule M aim is managing and minimizing the risk. I am not going into more details because of the lack of time. The another component is the sanitation. The existing Schedule M also have some provisions on sanitation, but it covers only workers and manufacturing premises. Sanitation of workers and sanitation of manufacturing premises. But the proposed new Schedule M, it covers sanitation of personnel, sanitation of premises, sanitation of equipment operators, production material, and containers. Say, for example, the raw materials which are received at the raw material receiving bay, mostly they have practiced that the raw materials, the containers are cleaned and sanitized. But if you see under the Schedule M, there is no that requirement. As per the WHO, that requirement is their sanitation of the materials. But as per the new procedures, this is expanded the scope of the sanitation in the revised Schedule M. The next component is the qualification and validation. The concept of validation is also exist in the present Schedule M. But this validation concept is restricted to only manufacturing process, testing, and cleaning. That means the manufacturer do validation of manufacturing process, testing validation, and cleaning validation. It covers only three. Now in the proposed new Schedule M, not only about the three, that is manufacturing process, testing, and cleaning, it also covers the validation of premises. This is the most important. As a drug regulator, tomorrow you should have a knowledge what to see under the validation of a premises, how to do the validation of a premises, and how to do the validation of utilities. When the manufacturer submits some data, whether it is sufficient or not for the validation, it is we should have adequate knowledge. I think maybe I request the ADCOC, the future such type of workshop, you can include these new topics, which are not part of the existing one. So thereby it will benefit the regulators. For example, one topic you can say validation of premises. So thereby all the regulators will have adequate knowledge. Though it is actually simple, appears to be a simple topic, validation of premises. Actually, it is a very huge topic. There is a lot of science behind, principles behind in the validation of premises. But whereas the word qualification, the qualification word is not exist in the existing provisions. In the proposed provision, the qualification requirements have been prescribed. So what manufacturer has to be qualified? They have to qualify the premises. The qualification has to be done for the utilities, qualification has to be done for the equipments, and qualification has to be done for the process. So this is also one topic for the, I think for Prasanna, for the future training program. You can have the qualification of all these things, thereby our colleagues in the ADCOC will get knowledge from this. And next component is the compliance and adverse reactions. There are some provisions at present, but only only one provision is there with respect to the adverse reactions. The existing provision says only serious adverse drug reactions should be reported to the licensing authority. But whereas new provision says any faulty manufacture, any product duration, any serious quality problems, all should be reported to the licensing authority. So now there will be a good communication. I mean, now the licensing authorities have a lot of information about the manufacturer, any changes he made, any complaints, any adverse events, any product deterioration, complete details will be available to the licensing authority. And first time, the concept of pharmacovigilance system is incorporated in the schedule. And as I said at the beginning of this presentation, the proposed schedule will be the remain same as that of the draft what it is published. But however, there are two major changes which is not in the draft, but which is going to be reflected in the proposed one. This is the point: pharmacovigilance system. So pharmacovigilance system was not there in the draft, but it will be going to be reflected in the proposed schedule. This is the one difference. About actually, there is no such provision to inform to the licensing authority, but now as per the new provision, it is mandatory to be informed to the licensing authority. And also it is clearly stated, there should be a comprehensive system specified for promptly and effective recall. I think, Lakshmi, this is another one session for you. Product recall, on this also you can have one training program only on product recall. Another is the change control. At present, Schedule M says only significant changes only need to be informed. But now the proposed Schedule M says changes in the raw material, packing material, even any changes in the specifications, even changes in the analytical methods. For example, earlier you may be using, say, UV photometric method, and you are changed it to HPLC. So that change in any analytical methods also need to be informed. Any changes in the facilities, changes in utilities, equipment, processing steps, labeling, software, all has to be need to be informed. And they have classified minor, major, critical changes based on the nature and extent of the change. Next component is the production. With respect to we have a concept of loan license system at present, but Schedule M is silent with respect to that. So that's why there are no any details of contract giver, contract acceptor, or contract analysis, that is outside testing, public testing laboratories. But in the new proposed Schedule M, there are a clearly specified role and responsibilities of contract giver, contract acceptor. And also the concept of agreement is incorporated in the revised schedule. And also there's a lot of information about the technology transfer. So that means first time the contract giver, contract acceptor concept is included in the schedule. Next is the self-inspection, quality audit, supplier audits, and approval. So the existing system says the frequency performed is routinely. They have not specified how frequently the audit should be conducted. However, in specific occasions, that whenever there is a recall or any inspection by the regulator, before inspection of the regulatory authorities, that audit should be conducted. That is the existing Schedule M says. But the proposed Schedule M, they have specified the frequency of the audits. They say at least once in a year. So this is actually, in my personal opinion, it is very stringent, once in a year. So when you want to do suppliers audit, doing suppliers audit, once the suppliers means you have all incoming raw materials, whether it is a API, excipients, primary raw materials, secondary raw materials, tertiary raw materials, each and labels. There is a huge input incoming raw materials. Whether is it possible to do at least once in a year the suppliers audit? It is a great challenge. I think this need to be re-examined, this provision. This is the first time the provision included the supplier audit and approvals. So till now, there is no concept of supplier audit and approvals, the schedule here. So there should be a approved list of raw material, packing material approved list based upon the vendor validation and supplier audits. But this audit is not necessary by the manufacturer himself. The audit can be done through some outside agencies. They can identify the third parties to carry out the external audit of the suppliers. With respect to these all are the new provision. In the existing system, there is no concept of organization chart, but in the proposed Schedule M, the company should have the organization, well-defined organization chart. And this is a very interesting principle. The all personnel should be motivated to support the maintenance of the high quality of standards. So as a drug regulator, when you see the compliance to this requirement, so we can see that, personnel should be trained. So then that provision, we can verify that training documents and training schedules. When the manufacturer responsibility, he should motivate the personnel. So that means what tomorrow supporting documents you insist the manufacturer, such that yes, and the first. This is really going to be a challenge for us as a regulator to verify the documents pertaining to the key persons is also clearly specified. The qualification of key personnel also specified. The functions may be delegated, but not the responsibilities. First, the functions, responsibilities. That means, end of the day, the responsibility lies with the key personnel and the management. And visitors' entry into the production areas also clearly defined and approved training programs. By and large, existing and proposed. Only one difference is, first, the new area they have incorporated called weighing area. At present, Schedule M is not talking about the weighing area. Now it states that there should be a clearly demarcated or clearly separate area for the weighing purpose. It may be in quality control area or in any other areas wherever you are being weighed. Equipments, all equipment cleaning procedures should be validated. That is the mandatory thing tomorrow. This is very important. Materials. And generally, materials concept in the warehousing area is to store that materials, you have to segregated area. That means we can say under test area, approved raw materials, or quarantine, different stages. And each stage, that material physically move from one stage to the another, from under test to quarantine, quarantine to the approved area. But there is a flexibility in the system if the manufacturer have a validated computerized system. So there is no need to change the material from one stage to the another. Material will be remain one stage, but only that labeling status will change, provided if we have a completely validated computer system, storage system to identify the material at any given time. With respect to the packing material, I also said you are not necessary to test all batches. That is based upon your vendor approval and statistical data is analysis. So you can exempt certain batches and randomly you can do the testing of packing materials provided you have done very good vendor validation and lot of statistical data. That means last 5-10 years data is available for that particular material. And another very important thing, at present Schedulium says all API containers, for example, if you are receiving 10 containers of the particular API, you have to draw sample from each and every container for identification test, which is a mandate. But as per the proposed Schedulium, for the identity test of each container of starting material, there is an exemption. If that starting material is coming from the dedicated facility. For example, if you are procuring the API of paracetamol, if that API paracetamol manufacturer is producing only API, he is not producing any other material. He has a license to produce only paracetamol. That means that facilities are dedicated. Then the requirement of identity test for each and every container start material is accepted. So they can have random containers can be selected. And another concept is that now the reworking of rejected products, which is not permitted earlier, now it will the reworking of rejected product is also permitted, but provided that they have to give new batch number for that. And as you know, whenever in case of API manufacturing, at the end of the batch production, there will be some leftover quantities after packing. See, if your packing size is 25 kg per packing, at the end of all your batch is packed, there will be a 2-3 kg leftover. But how you should use and where it should be used that leftover quantity, that is also clearly specified in the proposed schedule. And as I said, extension of the retesting date, the earlier problem of para 10.9 of schedule, expiry date is permitted, retest date is not permitted. This is also considered here. And coming to the reference standards, so IP reference has to be the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, and first time the new Schedulium prescribe the procedure, allow the preparation of working standards. And this is the same. And the documentation, this is very important. The current Schedulium says the documents like master formula record SOPs should be available in hard copy. Here the word hard copy is very important for verification by the regulators. But in the new this thing, it is not a mandate the manufacturer can have a hard copy one. He can have soft copy also, all the BMR, all the SOPs, everything, provided he should have a complete audit trial system to ensure existence of documented evidence traceability at any given time. That means that entire their computer should be validated. And also it says that whenever you go for inspection, if he says that that information is not available, the soft copies, maybe, for example, it is corrupted or because of it is, something went wrong with the system. The moment he has not shown means we can consider that he don't have the document. That means he has manufactured without MFR, he manufactured the BMR other documents. So it is his responsibility to show any document electronically when we go for the inspection. Failing to do so, it is considered as he don't have the document. And in the master formula record of first time, the hold time permitted for intermediates and in-process materials. So during, for example, bulk tablets or any in-process products are there, the hold times are not stated in the current schedule. So in the proposed schedule, it is stated. And first time, the concept of validation master plan. So what are the products should be validated and what type of validation you require in your plan? So all should be, how frequently it should be validated. So there should be a validation master plan in system. And good practices in production also clearly specified and especially talks about the deviation control and what measures have been taken, prevention of contamination, and first timelines for the storage of equipment after clean. So once you clean the equipment, you have a status that equipment is clean. But how many days that the status is applicable after clean, whether 1 week or 10 days, you have to specify and validate that process. And any significant deviation from the expected yield also should be recorded and I think this is this is very important. First time the concept of computerized system is one of the component of a chip. This is actually one of the component. They stated very clearly detailed requirements about the validation of the GMP related computer system should be prescribed, and IQ of hardware and software should be there, and proper backup system. For example, if that entire hardware is not available because of any due to fire hazard or any other thing in the site, but there should be a backup at some other sites also. So till now, I talked about the basic differences between the existing and proposed with respect to the principles. This is a very, very important slide because of the system is that manufacturer should conduct the water system validation, and there should be also packaging complete. There is validations are there, but we don't have guidelines to conduct the validation. What the proposed schedule says that here we are adopting the WHO guidelines as it is, instead of again repeating and prescribing under the schedule. So under the schedule, this is clearly stated that the guidelines published by WHO on the following aspects relating to GMP through their technical report series from time to time may be considered for general. That means as a drug regulatory authority also, we can use the guidelines available by the WHO. This is a very important. I think I can go fast. It is already 12:40. So as a part 2 talks about the specific requirement for the injectables. This is already existing also. This is the first time it is incorporated the specific GMP requirements for the hazardous products, like penicillin, steroids, sex hormones, cytotoxic compounds. So we have a specific chapter that has a part 3 for the hazardous product. And part 4 clearly talks about the biologicals, like vaccines and other products. Earlier, we don't have a specific requirement for vaccines. But under the part 4, the specific requirement for biological products has been stated. And part 6, specific requirements for the radiopharmaceuticals. So this is one of the major new thing in the proposed schedule. And the phytopharmaceuticals also first time separately it has been prescribed. And part 7 talks about the clinical trials. So many people have a doubt the product manufactured for the clinical trial phase 1, whether they have to comply with the GMP or not, whether they have to manufacture under the GMP conditions or not. So that's why the specific requirements for the products for the clinical trials in humans, where they have specified very clearly. And already current schedule also we have a separate requirement for oral solids, oral liquids, topical preparations, API and meter dose. And we have little enhanced provisions for all this. So finally, I skipped a lot of anything, because of time constraints. I would like to not one more detail. So now, if as I said, 4 or 5 questions initially we discussed. First is what is the importance of GMP and why GMP is required? What is the reason for the revision of the Schedule M? And another question, when the final draft is not published and why we are conducting this workshop. So these questions I try to answer. So mainly why we are doing all this is, as all of GMP is a dynamic image. We had to accept this. We should not just follow the 3 decades old GMP standards. And there should be a continual improvement in the quality. That's why all countries see GMP. With advantage with this GMP is that it will facilitate innovation. It will promote the exports. If you improve our standards, we are going to be on par with the global standards. It will build trust and confidence on quality, and it will benefit the manufacturer also. It will also benefit to the regulators. We are also more comfortable, and it will reduce the NSQs and the product failures and also product recalls. So my request to all the fellow drug regulators is that please go through details in the draft, what it is published, and try to understand and identify what are the differences. And whenever you go for the inspections, you little check in that new provisions also as a little understanding of that facilities, and you can also tell the company as per the new proposals, these are going to be new requirements. So thereby they will also aware about the new provisions. And above all, as I said in between, I think ADCOC can take a lead for conducting more such type of workshop on the new provisions. Thereby, all our fellow regulators have the adequate knowledge, and they are also well prepared for the future implementation or future inspection of the facilities. So with this, I conclude my talk. So thank you, Prasanna and entire ADCOC team for giving me this opportunity. And if any further question and answers, I'm happy to discuss the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I could say this is very elaborative and in detail presentation and what are all the improvements on each and every aspect of the current GMP. And we will take up the few questions that I see from the Q&A box, sir. I mean, given the paucity of time, I may not be able to take all the questions, but very few questions which is of a more relevance for the larger audience that I could take at this moment. So one general question is the effective or implementation date for this Schedule M. Are there any sort of a guidance on that particular aspect, sir?
So effective implementation date, as Uday Bhaskar Saab said rightly, our Honorable Minister, I think, already made one press statement that the units which have 250 crores and above, they will should implement within 6 months, and less than that 1 year. But that is at present what ministers have said, but we don't know finally how much time really in the final notification comes. But if you ask me frankly, as an individual, my opinion, the effective date should be at least immediately for those who are able to comply. See, think what happens. There are various new provisions incorporated in the schedule. See, for example, retest date. For example, leftover shelf life of API compared with the finished product. So industry will get benefit. If you ask me frankly, it is not actually burden on the industry. The new provisions also will it will promote the industry, in all respects. Okay, that is my personal view.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the another question about the loan license. Whether the manufacturer of loan license products are also eligible for test license. That's number one question, sir. And an added question on the loan license under the new provisions, as we have a concept of a third-party manufacturing in place in practical experience, like how does it is going to be covered in the revised guidelines?
So this is very good question, Prasanna. So especially in the loan license concept, if the main original manufacturer already have a adequate knowledge, okay, and adequate data available, And also if you will give completely technology transfer. So herein I may not able to say yes or no. This depends upon so many factors. Okay. If the manufacturing facilities are remain same. That means, for example, if it is a tablet formulation, so same granulation technique, same granulator, same compression mission, same packing. If everything is remain same of the main manufacturer and loan licensing, and the technology is the technology transferred, and incoming all the raw materials also from the same source. So if all the parameters are the remain same, then through technology transfer, they can get the permission. But it is practically not possible to have this everything same. So that's why generally the loan licensee also should have the test license first to generate the data. Okay, with respect to the process validation and with respect to the stability studies. Okay, then only you should get the product permission. And the third party, the basic concept will be again remain same for the third party also.
Oh, okay, sir. So moving on to another question on the recall, sir. Are there any provisions included in the revised guidelines about the disposal of the recalled materials?
Yeah, that is the destruction of the recalled materials. So that is also clearly stated. The manufacturer should have a validated procedures, because of the destruction procedures varies from the dosage form to dosage form. See, for example, if it is aerosol preparations, the destruction is completely different. If it is oral liquids, it is completely different. Injectables is different. So it is whatever see, and one more thing, all recall products not necessary for the destruction. Okay, recall products, after recalling, you do the complete investigation. See, for example, you have recalled product because of some spelling mistake in the label. Okay, and you recall the product, you can rectify that mistake. And again, you will introduce it to the product with the approval of the licensing authority. So that is depends upon the nature of the defective in the recall or reason for the recall.
So then the manufacturer is entitled to either reprocess or re-release the recalled batch with rectification of the mistakes, whatever they have committed. Can we assume?
Yeah. So at present schedule, this revised schedule is allowing the reworking, but reworking of the, for example, in API. Okay, so you developed a particular process technology for manufacturing. Okay, at the end of the day, the product is not complying at the end of your requirements before release. The reworking, reprocessing is the before release, not for the after release. Please, this is a very important point. So that's why reprocessing, reworking is not applicable for the recalled products. Whatever I think there is a difference between reprocessing and reworking. Reprocessing means you are using the same procedure, same technology, same method for again doing that. For example, if your product is failed in impurities, when you are testing that, if you want to do further purification to reduce that impurity level, you purify the same, whatever the procedure prescribed. That is reprocess. Reworking means you are not following the same procedure. You are following some other procedure to reduce the impurity levels. That is the reworking. So wherever reprocessing, reworking should be documented and should be validated. That is allowed.
Thank you for that clarification, sir. Sir, another question on the responsibility of the quality issues between the marketer and the manufacturer, especially in the context of a loan license or the contract agreement. So how does the new provisions are contemplating on the responsibility on the quality related issues?
So this already in the drug rules clearly stated that the marketer also is equally responsible for the quality of the product. So the loan license is also a license and is also licensee. So that means he is a manufacturer. As I said in the first sentence, only manufacturer is the responsible for the quality of the product. So even in case third party, if he is claiming on the label marketed by with his name and address, then he is also equally responsible. If he is not claiming on the label about his name and address, then he is not come under the definition of marketed by.
Lakshmi, just a small intervention. So Ishwar Reddy has already, 2 hours he is here. This is the first time we extended up to 1 o'clock. We can take the answers from him and we can send to them. You can go ahead with the acting president's concluding remarks and you close it. That's what I feel.
Sure,
But
sir.
one more thing we need to keep it in mind is that, the topics what he has suggested, exclusive talk. We also request Ishwar Reddy ji to deliver talk on those points also. Thank you.
Sure, sir.
So thank you, sir. So in the interest of the time, we are forced to close this, and certainly ADCOG would be open to answer all the unanswered questions by the participants. And now I request our acting president, R.P. Chaudhary ji, for the concluding remarks, please.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Sir, very
Yes,
well.
sir.
Sir, it was a great pleasure to have you here as a tough regulator of the India, as well as globally known well regulator. Sir, I know that you have got a very good insight into this previous schedule M also, as well during 2005 also we have seen that how the implementation in the state of Maharashtra with your help has been a successful story. I really appreciate the way you have delivered on all the points and made it very easy. And now my regulator throughout the India will have a really good backup as well as a confidence to go and make our India as a really big pharmacy of the world. And I think you will be free for our regulators to answer some questions, if ever, so that we can come back to you on any problems which you are facing, regulator facing within its states. So I really appreciate the insight given by you on this new schedule M, which is expected at any time now. So there is also one thing I have seen that you have really shown how it differs from the existing, how the new rules are there. I really appreciate the effort that we are very closing and inching towards the near to the guidelines as of WHO, GMP, and similar guidelines of US FDA. So we stand big here, and we really want to make a big name of pharma industry in the world. I appreciate your efforts, sir, and we really has got a good insight into this. And thank you very much for this.
Prasanna, just a small comment. Thank you, Rajesh Chaudhary sab. Nice comment. I am looking after the capacity building in the CDSU, that is including the training activity. We have trained till now 700 drug regulators since March. Okay. We are planning another 800 drug regulators training by the end of the March. So this financial year, our target was 1,500. Okay. So I request Uday Bhaskar sir also, whenever we ask the states to nominate their officers for the training, so there is a little poor response. Maybe for ways, just because they need a permissions from their higher authorities, principal secretaries and other things. So now what we have decided is, in the next whatever we have 7-8 programs are left over, we are going to communicate all 7-8 programs together instead of sending one program separately. And you identify your suitable inspector from your organization and communicate all at one go at one place. And for you also, it is easy to get approval all from 7-8 approval, 7-8 programs approval from the principal secretary at one go only, instead of sending file every month to that. So I think your intervention is required. And as Uday Bhaskar said rightly in the beginning, either today or tomorrow, we have to go for the picks. If you want really go for the picks, our standard should be on par with the international, and also our regulators, also our capabilities and capacities also should be on par with that. Then definitely one day we will be on par with the international regulatory agency. Thank you, President.
Sir, one thing I would like to share here that we are going big way on this quality of the pharmaceutical products within India, but we are lacking the enforcement authority staff in the state. So how the central can help on all these issues? Because every state has really got a big amount of vacancies in the enforcement area. So we really require to strengthen up this so as to implement revised schedule in a big way.
But Chaudhary Saab, if you see that, as you said rightly, there are two problems. One problem is failing to recruit and failing to fill the existing post. That is one problem. Second is inadequate staff. So failing to fill that post, again, there will be many inbuilt problems. Somebody must have gone to the court, or somebody in a matter will be, somewhere else it is struck. So that is that your authority should actively take into that to ensure that if any legal issues are settled, and fill the post immediately. And second point, with respect to any additional manpower, the central government already, you may be knowing, there is a centrally sponsored scheme. Central government is financially giving the financial support to the state for the manpower, for the infrastructure, with both office and laboratory. Already 650 crores central government has provided. There is another, this financial year, still 80 crores unspent money is there. If again, I'm requesting all the drug controllers, those who are here, please take up this matter with your state. If you want to take this 80 crores for your human resource purpose or for the laboratory, anything, so you immediately send your proposal from your government to our health ministry. You can have the additional 80 crores. This is open to all states.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dear, thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much, sir, and we really appreciate even the advices that you have rendered for further ongoing activities of the ADCOG, and also using the capacity building programs that under your leadership, the CDSO organizing for the state drug control officers as well. So I really appreciate. I believe even the state officers would also take up this in the way that what you have suggested, and they'll assign the team for taking part of these programs. And thank you so much for sparing your time, sir. I know you've been traveling, and you landed last night, and you've agreed on for our request to take up this session on a Sunday. Really appreciate for your time and your enthusiasm and energies that you have shared with us, sir. And my sincere appreciations to all my ADCOG fellow colleagues for joining this program and for staying for almost 2 hours for being in this session, sir. So thank you so much once again, everyone. And with that, we formally conclude this program.
That is the kind of inspiration Ishwar Reddy draws. In fact, that kind of a thing, he pulls the people that way. And the energy he has. I think one interesting, which I think in the closing one interesting which you have said, sir, root cause analysis by the manufacturer. But yes, I think the root cause analysis by us also.
Yes. That's true. That's true.
Why we have allowed him for 2025 consistent an excuse also.
That are the system related issues. We need to address that system related issues.
We need to have a separate training program for that.
Consistently producing the NSQs.
Root cause analysis for why
yes, sir,
we could not take that.
That is a big challenge, so much, actually.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, sir. Okay, good day to everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, bye.